Well, since so many years, I've been concerned with the questions, what is health? How can we measure health? And how can we improve health as best as possible? In order to really deal with health, we have to understand the blueprint of our functionality, the pathways that influence all our being. Well, of course, our brain is a powerful construction and our will can do almost everything. However, the prerequisites for this are always created in interaction with other powerful physiological influences. One of them is our autonomous nervous system, inaccessible to our consciousness, with the part that secures our ability to fight and flight and our ability to regenerate. But there is also a third major player in the autonomic nervous system. It's the enteric nervous system, which has more synapses than our brain. It does not need to keep our intestines functioning. It is rather that our belly brain is the big decider, in fact. His so many nerves report our intuitive perceptions to the control centers in the brain, so that as possible what happens may be good for us. Of course, serotonin, dopamine, and other messengers play an important role in our functioning. And isn't it interesting that both the brain in our gut and the one in our head communicate via the same neurotransmitters? Well, the power of hormones does not have to be explained. The right amount at the right time and everything is fine. A truly functional contact area to our health is our roommate. It's the microbiome. Good that it has become more and more the topic. It will change medicine in the next few years to a better one. Just like this, so far regarded as a useless structure, our connective tissue, our matrix that occurs in every part of our body, and after nothing without sense occurs in our ingeniously constructed organism, something like fascial therapy could develop. So these are the essential access mechanisms to our entire functioning, therefore also to our health and our performance. The big question, how can we influence these? Quite simply, by the things we have to do anyway to stay alive. As a hydropneumatic combustion engines, we have to drink water and consume combustible material. We can eat junk food or high quality. It's our choice. And we have to move, preferably in daylight. We can kill ourselves by physical overload, as well as becoming a couch potato. And we can keep ourselves very fit for a very long time. It's our choice. As a direct effect of our activities and our eating and drinking, the quality of our sleep is determined. So again, our choice. There is no health without mental health, and there is no mental health without good sleep. Without breathing, we only survive for a few minutes. Breathing is the silver bullet for health. By the way, how we breathe is very much determined by our posture, determined by matrix, and by our microbiome. So we know about the four what to influence functioning. I want to let you know about the main how. Here is one paper published in Nature 32 years ago, focusing on period genes, and another one published in 2015 illustrating the circadian clock. 40 years of research that paid off. The authors were honored with the Nobel Prize for Medicine in 2017. In this underlying science paper, you can learn that rhythm influences our entire functioning. So there is not only anatomy as our knowledge of the structure of the living, and physiology as the description of the functioning of living structures, starting from the fact that every one of our cells vibrates rhythmically, that every function, be it the positive secretion of pattern of our hormones, be it breathing, heartbeat, or eyelid blow, acts in its own intrinsic rhythm. It has become possible to enter into another dimension in the decryption of the living. The root of the underlying technology we call heart rate variability is found in obstetrics. Hahn and Lee described over 50 years ago that the variability of the heart rate, no matter how fast the heart beats, shows exactly how the baby is in the womb. The principle has served us worldwide as a reliable obstetric safety net for decades, and thanks to modern technology, it has now become usable not only for unborns, but also for adults of all ages. You see above with the green background a cardiotocogram, and you see the pulse rate of a young, healthy woman, and you see below the heart rate of an old and ill man, and you see also that it's much higher than at a young and healthy individuum. Well, I'm a gynecologist, but also a doctor in traditional Chinese medicine. So I'm pleased twice that colleague Wan Shu Ho has described in the 3rd century in his standard textbook on pulse diagnostics that when the heart beats as regular as the tapping of the woodpecker or the rain dropping on the roof, the patient will die within 4 days. Nowadays, as the method is also common in traditional school medicine, we have the challenge that the endpoints of cardiovascular disease, of which most people die in the whole world, have their start in stress, maybe in depression, in burnout. And it's not easy to diagnose those states of health. We do it in common medicine with easy to perform and maybe cheap methods, with some more complicated and with also those who are not too easy to perform. But we also have really good parameters from the heart rate variability, which helps us to have clear facts to do also diagnosis with a non-invasive and easy to handle, but very keen method via the ECG. Here you see that in comprehension to laboratory diagnostics, for example, heart rate variability is really determined by age and sex. Younger people and men have much higher heart rate variability measures than older ones or women. But the good news for women is women have a much higher parasympathetic tone that men have, and the parasympathetic tone, the vagal tone, is the goal to health. You see the widespread of the diagnostics here at a 53-year-old woman, which is seriously ill with a lot of drugs going to her, and up there called the live fire or Lebensfeuer. That's the transformation of about 100,000 heartbeats into a spectrogram via a mathematical technique, there is no color at all. The more color, the better, the more vital the being is. And you also see in the pulse rate down there that there is no change through all the time. And in comprehension to that, you will see now an 18-year-old young man, a sportsman, and he has a lot of fire and a lot of variability in his spectrogram, and he also has much variation in his pulse rate over 24 hours. Now I have a quiz for you and a question. Which side do you prefer, the left ones or the right one pictures? It's from the microscope and out of tissue. So do you prefer the left side or the two ones on the right side? Well, on the left side, you see healthy tissue from the liver. And on the right side, you see carcinoma tissue. On the left side, you see order and also aesthetically pictures. On the right side, you see disturbances and chaos. Now the next question, a bit more complicated. No, it's not like that. A healthy young man or woman, maybe just fallen in love, looks like much healthier than an old one, chronically ill. So it's the same principle. It's a recognition of patterns. And the same it is looking at the live fire. On the left-hand side, you see the transformations of healthy people. And on the right side, you see the spectrogram of chronically ill people. Here we have an interesting and really fine paper from The Lancet published in 2006. And it's fascinating because the principle is that easy. Healthy people can decelerate their heart rate while they exhale. And they just approved at a lot of patients after myocardial infarction that could not decelerate their heart rate during exhaling, and they had a significant poorer outcome than those who could activate their parasympathetic tone, because that's done when you can lower your heart rate when you exhale. Another fantastic paper is here from Kevin Tracy in Nature, already in 2002. Kevin had the question, as a microbiologist, what can we do against inflammation? Inflammation is so terrible. So many people die from sepsis. And he wanted to find a molecule that reduces inflammation, especially also the silent inflammation, which proclaims the nature of chronic disease, because silent inflammation, you don't feel it, makes no pain and no heat and no tumor, but it enables pathogenic agencies to proclaim chronic disease. And he found a molecule that reduces the expression of pro-inflammatory agencies and enhances those who reduce inflammation. And the molecule was acetylcholine. And acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter of the parasympathetic, of the vagus nerve. So the question is, when there is acetylcholine, you just have to bring in acetylcholine into the organism. But there is also acetylcholine esterases, which helps to solve up acetylcholine from one heartbeat to the other, so that we can run away and fight and flight. And therefore, you can't take it with pills or over your veins. You have to produce your acetylcholine all the time by yourself. And how can you do this? Well, it's with well-being. If you feel comfortable, if you have acupuncture, or especially if you do meditation, then you enhance your vagal activity and your acetylcholine in the body. And it is produced by breathing. Therefore, breathing is so important for health. So